sees the means of production, and the like and subscribe button.
Maybe all fascism is liberal fascism. Maybe like fascism has always been pathetic and performative in a way that we typically associate with liberalism, which would be bad news because that would imply that we're moving on to death camps today soon. Like, I want to believe there's a distinction, like this is a cheap facsimile of a past fascist regime. But if it's following the same steps, that would imply we're kind of like leading in the same direction. If the US wanted to, it could go to death chambers tomorrow. That's probably true, yeah. That's probably true. They keep trying to build these camps outside of journalistic scrutiny, you know, like Alligator Alcatraz, and they're massively expanding Gitmo, shit like that. Why not sooner? Overconfidence coding for Sue? Everything has to ramp up, right? You never just jump from one elevation to another. You always have to like ramp up. They're definitely going to death camps. Yeah. I mean, they clearly want to. What is this?
When we designate Trump and his guys as fascists, there is for me a remainder of what I cannot but call old leftist laziness, intellectual laziness. You see something bad, obviously, Trump and so on. Then you say, what's really bad? Fascism? He must be a fascist, you know. No, he's not simply a fascist. I don't have a good term. I now am playing with the term in my new book, liberal fascist. Because the paradox of Trump is a beautiful paradox of his notion of freedom. Vaush is saying, we want to get rid of the pressure of the state, get the state off our backs, and so on and so on. And you know where they are ending now? Incredible censorship that even politically correct left at its worst didn't engage in. You know what is Trump saying? You remember a couple of months ago, he didn't do it. He wanted to prosecute Wall Street Journal for expressed some doubts about his politics on tariffs and so on. And it's going on. We are really getting caught in this paradox.
Oh, fucking jumped into his mouth at the last second there. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Do you personally see any endgame for the right beyond just death cult? I don't see very well. That's why I wear glasses. I mean, you have pointed out in the past how the historical Nazis were much more cringy than what common Virabu wants to believe. Yeah, but I'm not really talking about cringe. I'm talking to this, like, artificial adherence. Like, okay, I guess what I'm asking is, in 1942, would, if the conditions were correct, would the Nazis have sent a Western media team to Auschwitz-Birkenau after setting some Jews up in like an artificial fake room that looked nicer and they have nicer food? Or, well, maybe that doesn't work because at that point, well, it would have to be American media because we weren't in the war yet. In 1940, let's say 1941, okay? Would they bring America, they did that with the Red Cross? No, that's different. The Red Cross, they were trying to evade international scrutiny by getting a report falsified. But there's a difference between that and if Hitler was there with like a bunch of Jews who know they're going to be like shot after this is done or whatever, and they're posing in like a nice room and he's like, yeah, see, they're doing fine. Wouldn't, like, it seems like to a large extent the Nazis were trying to keep the attention off of it, whereas Trump's administration keeps wanting to put attention on it, but then like kind of hem and haw about how bad it is. I don't know. It's very weird to think about. The world is very, very different now. I don't know. Is it different or are we adjusting to the filter? It's different, but it might just be that the world is different and not that the fascism is different. The fascism might just be conforming in its typical syncretic fashion. It might be just conforming to the conditions of the world today. Where like you now have like social media and you just didn't have it back then. I don't know. Zizek has been really obsessed with cancel culture and calling everything woke lately. He's been doing that for like a decade. More than a decade. He's always been like that. The problem with academic, like leftist academic philosophers is that all of them have at some point they've had a lecture interrupted by an annoying pink-haired student who's told them that their N-word joke isn't that funny. And as a consequence, they're all free speech warriors. So they have all experienced like leftist cancel culture, basically. I'm kind of not joking. I really do think that's a big part of it. It's not like right-leaning people are telling Zizek his N-word joke isn't funny. But was it funny, though? Yeah, it was really funny. I don't know. It's like that episode from Band of Brothers where the Nazis start killing prisoners and burning camp documents once the Allies broke through the German border. You don't have to reference Band of Brothers. It just happened in real life, yeah. The Nazis desperately wanted to cover up evidence of their crimes. Whereas nowadays, like, I don't know. Fundamentally, they knew. Yeah, I think one of the problems that fascists keep running into is that you can propagandize all you want, but at the end of the day, it actually makes your tummy hurt really bad to be an Auschwitz guard. Like, this was a problem the Nazis kept running into. With the exception of an extremely small group of actual psychopaths, the vast majority of Nazis, members of the Wehrmacht, prison guards, even SS members, had no stomach for mass executions. That's why they did the gas chambers. Like, that's the reason why. Depersonalized, they're in a separate room. You literally can't see them when it happens. They industrialized it because it was so difficult. Like, even Hitler didn't have this. Didn't Hitler, like, literally ask to not be given reports on some of the killings because it made him ill? They had to keep rotating SS death squads because they'd eventually mentally break. It's a problem, right? Because, like, from their perspective, you can propagandize all you want, but at the end of the day, everyone's human. You feel bad. Some IOF soldiers report the same. A ton of them do. A ton of them have PTSD. I'm not asking you to sympathize with them, by the way. I'm only saying that this is a logistical problem for fascists because your ideology demands cruelty and indifference to life. But in reality, like, you still have, you know, like literally underlying biological impulses to not act as antisocial as your ideology demands you act, you know? Yeah, fascism is very unnatural. Yeah, 100%. Anyway, I think to an extent that probably explains. You have to create all these legitimizing mechanisms, but a lot of them just don't work. Joseph Mengele was uniquely evil. Yeah. There are always some people. There are some people who are born with broken minds, who are a lot more moldable. But for the majority of people, the Nazis tried to get regular German soldiers to do the killings, but it was horrendous from a suicide standpoint after the fact. They had to bring in police to do most of the killing with guns, but then they switched to the gas chambers because even the police began to get suicidal. Yeah. I don't know. Wow, that's depressing. I mean, I think some solace can be taken in the knowledge that fascism is inhuman and that it runs against fundamental parts of the way our brains work, you know? It's just not, like, in the long run, it's why it's self-destructive, right? You literally can't, and yet what? There are lots of things we do that run against our nature, but, like, we do fall into equilibrium eventually. Socialism doesn't have this issue. You know, the idea of, like, collaborative, cooperative society, social, economic living, you know, these things don't run against our nature at all. Whereas fascism does. That's why Palantir and drones are so scary. Yeah, it does seem like we are getting better at removing humans from the process. So we'll see. It's why it's why they've been using, like, Palantir AI to do drone strikes in Israel, you know? Not only does it give them the ability to offload blame onto a computer system rather than them, but you know, it means no humans have to be involved in the process. Do you think it's natural to be socialist? I think it's natural to be pro-social, care about the people around you, and to believe in things like equity, you know, the idea that if you work hard, you should get rewarded for it. I think that communal tendencies are natural, and I think that socialism works well as an extension of that. Unfortunately, it's also natural to be hierarchical, and socialism doesn't gel well with that. So I think you could argue that the war there is in favor of our better nature against our worse nature, whereas fascism tries unsuccessfully to make us less human than we are capable of being. On average. Anyway, that's enough of that. Is there good news? Today? No. What about tomorrow? No one knows the future, but I wouldn't bet on it. All right, what the hell is this? Slash tires, open fire hydrants, picket line dust up, tensions rise on the first day of Philly city worker strike. Yeah, I'm behind on this one. Sorry. What's happening? Hold on. Philly city workers strike.
Developing this morning, negotiations to end.
Give me some information.
The District 33 strike broke apart overnight. The action cam is live at a sanitation site in Port Richmond right now as police are monitoring the entrance where picketers are gathered. for a third straight day. The union president said an offer was presented to Philadelphia city leaders late last night, but the city came back with the same offer they had before. Action News reporter Corey Davis has been tracking the strike all week now. He joins us live from another picket line, the Sanitation Center on 63rd Street in Southwest Philadelphia.
Have local Democrats been supportive of this strike, or has it just been the workers on their own?
Philadelphia, where we already hear honking going on this morning. Corey, what's happening?
Aliana, good morning. So we pan over, you can see the first set of picketers out here for day 3 of this protest, or of the strike right now. So in the meantime, city leaders are reminding picketers to protest peacefully because there were some issues over the course of the last couple days.
Yeah?
I'm going to give you a look there at some video. Philadelphia sheriff's deputies and police came out here yesterday after workers on strike reportedly blocked other city employees from entering the back gates. Police cleared the way, allowing for a long line of garbage trucks to leave the center. A judge has already ordered picketers not to block access to the buildings or facilities. The city solicitor says some of them have gone too far by violating court orders and breaking the law.
And the kind of things that we are dealing with are jammed locks at health centers. We couldn't get our doctors into the health centers today. Opening fire hydrants. Yesterday they were slashing tires.
I'm fitting this in with the broader point. I have such a difficult time imagining this country picking itself up from where it is right now without just an unbelievable amount of suffering. Because this still has to, like, if strikes can't work because city leaders and the citizenry broadly are like, it's inconveniencing me, it's bad, then strikes just can't work, period. You know, that's kind of a prerequisite for strikes doing the thing that they're supposed to do, right? The disruptive nature. I don't know. It's all going to get so much worse.
On trucks. Preventing trash drop-offs. We have residents going to drop off their trash and they're getting harassed on their way.
Hello?
And police made an arrest. 59-year-old Carnell Wilder is accused of slashing a PGW worker's tires Tuesday in Winfield Heights. District Council 33 union leaders are urging all members to follow the court orders and are asking the public to help support their efforts for higher pay as the union's nearly 9,000 members enter day 3 of this strike.
Nobody understands financial constraints more than our members, right? And so we're asking for a little bit of release so we can loosen our belt just a little bit instead of continuously keep tightening them. There's no more left to tighten.
So once again, they are peacefully protesting here outside of the 63rd Street Sanitation Center as negotiations are expected to resume today. Reporting live here in Southwest Philadelphia, Corey Davis, Channel 6 Action News.
Neat.
All right, Corey, thank you. And we've got new video this morning of the trash piling up again on the corner of 18th and Catherine in South Philadelphia, where Corey reported from live yesterday morning. Now, the site has actually been cleaned and the dumpsters replaced multiple times over the last 24 hours, but you wouldn't be able to tell by looking at it. Even a sign that you saw there sits next to the trash pile in support of the striking union. At 50th and Locust, some people are dropping bags of trash outside of 2 dumpsters, even though the dumpsters aren't full. The city's sanitation director says dumpsters are being serviced 2 times a day.
I don't know. What the hell is this? Yeah, I don't know. To give you an idea, this is the mayor of Philadelphia. The mayor created 15 brand new positions this year, paying between $150K and $245K, and gave herself a 9% raise. Gotcha. Oh, great. And they're all bullshit administrative positions. Great. This is where all the money goes when you pay local taxes, by the way. It all goes to like bullshit middlemen. Same with like the educational system. Look at this. Look at the new positions. Anyone that didn't have a fiscal year 24 salary: chief deputy mayor, associate deputy mayor, senior advisor of intergovernmental affairs, senior advisor. You take a look at these people, find out how many of them are either friends of the mayor or worked for corporations that have had dealings with the city. Bet that covers half of them at least. 2026 director. Yeah, got it.